Okay, so this is experiment 23, and in this experiment, it's in two parts. You're standardizing your sodium permanganate solution and also using it to titrate against an unknown concentration of sodium oxalate. So this is a redox titration, and it's in two parts. So here we have our potassium permanganate solution, we have our distilled water, we have our 3 molar sulfuric acid, and this is the sodium oxalate, weighed 0.3 grams of sodium oxalate. So we have all our apparatus here, the burettes, our flask, a measuring cylinder, our stir bar, our heater, and our magnetic stirrer. So let's get started. Okay, so in here in our burettes, we have our potassium permanganate. Remember, we rinse our burettes before you put your solution. So we've rinsed it out, and now we filled it with our potassium permanganate. Our initial burette reading is 0.5 mil. 0.5 mil. Okay, and in here, the mass of our empty flask is 104.483 grams, and we've added our oxalates, 0.3 grams of oxalates, and now the mass of the flask plus the oxalates is 104.776 grams. So you would have to subtract that to find the actual mass of sodium oxalates we are going to be using. Okay, so follow me. In here, we are going to add 100 mils of distilled water. So in here, we would have 100 mils of distilled water. So we're adding 100 mil of distilled water. So, and also we're going to add 30 mil of our concentrated acid. Remember, you add acid to water and not water to acid. So we've added 100 mil of our water. Now we would add 30 mil of our 3 molar sulfuric acid. So that is 30 mil of our acid. Okay, so in our flask, remember what we have. We have about 0.3 grams of our sodium oxalates. We have 100 mil of water, distilled water, and we have 30 mil of our 3 molar sulfuric acid. So okay, so now I would add the stir bar, because our titration it's not going to just be one titration. I mean, you would have to add 5 mil of our permanganate first, and then warm it, and then do the full titration. So that's what I want to do now. Add 5 mil of our potassium permanganate. So that is 5 mil of potassium permanganate. So I just wanted to stir. So after adding 5 mil of our potassium permanganate, we're gonna allow this to stir until it decolorizes. So that's what we're waiting for. So as you can see, it seems to be getting lighter. the color is getting lighter. So we keep um, mixing it and swirling until the color disappears. So as you can see, now the purple color is gone. So I'm gonna stop the swirling, and next I'll take out my stir bar and I'm gonna warm this. I don't have to make it so hot. I just want to warm it to about 50 to 60 degrees centigrade. So let's just wait for this to warm up a bit, and then we'll continue with our titration. So now we've warmed it, a bit warm, but not too, it's not uncomfortable to hold it. So we're gonna continue with the titration. Remember, we're letting 5 ml. So now we're gonna titrate until we have a faint purple color. I've put back my stir bar and we'll continue with this. So we are looking for a faint purple color that will persist for about 30 seconds. So as you can see, even though it turned purple, it went back to colorless. So just a little, I'm gonna let it in drop by drop. So as you can see, our color seems to stay for more than 30 seconds. So this will be our endpoint. Now let's look at our final burette reading. We have it to be 41.7. So our final burette reading is going to be 41.7. 41.7, our final burette reading, and 0.5 our initial burette reading. So you can figure out how much potassium permanganate we added to our solution. Okay, so now we want to do the second trial. So as you can see here, the mass of our empty flask is 83.559. So I'll add the oxalates. I weighed about 0.29 grams of sodium oxalate. So I'll add it to the flask and take the weight of the flask again. Okay. So as you can see, the mass of a flax plus the oxalate is 83.851. So using that, you can find the actual mass of sodium oxalate we will use for this experiment. So as you can see, this is the second trial of our experiment, and remember we put in 5 ml of the potassium permanganate and we warmed it up, and then now we are titrating until we get to the end point. At the end point, we would have a faint purple color that will stay. So our initial burette reading was 0.00. We are trying to find the end point right now. So from our first reading, we got about 41.2. We used about 41.2 mil. So for our second reading, we expect something close to that. So okay, so at this point you can see our purple color doesn't seem to be going, and here our final reading is 40.7. So our final burette reading for this is 40.7. Okay, so this is the second part of our experiments. Remember, the first part was to standardize our potassium permanganates. So you should do your calculations and find the molarity of this. All you have to do is in your manual, your lab manual. So it will be good if you can go through it and read it and do the calculations. So for this part, we want to find the concentration of our unknown sodium oxalate solution. So this is our sodium oxalate solution. We have 25 ml of that. This is 75 ml of our distilled water, and this is 20 ml of our 3 molar sulfuric acid. So we'll just add it into our flask. Remember, you don't add your water to your acid. You add your acid to your water. So I've added my water first, and then now I would add the acid. So we're going to do our titration. We'll follow the same way we did it the first time. We're going to add 5 ml of our potassium permanganates, let it decolorize, stand and decolorize, and then we'll heat it and then let it run again. So it's just the same way we did the first part. So now our initial burette reading for this is 0.6 mil. So I'll add my stirrer. And add about 5 mil. So we have to wait for this to decolorize before we heat it. Okay, so now our solution has decolorized after letting it stand for some minutes, and we are heating it now. We just heat it a little and then we'll continue our titration. Okay, so now we are doing the titration. That is after warming it and everything. So we are letting in the potassium permanganate running now. As you can see, it decolorizes almost immediately. So we're waiting for a faint purple color that's gonna stand for 30 seconds. Okay, so and there we have it. Our faint purple color stays for up to 30 seconds. So that's our endpoint, and our final burette reading is 16.7. So we'll do another trial and see the endpoint. Okay, so this is our second trial, and as you can see, our initial, we'll just continue with the potassium permanganate we have. Our initial reading is 16.7, the last reading, and then we'll let in about 5 ml of our potassium permanganate and let it stand until it decolorizes before we heat it. So we will let it stand until it decolorizes, heat it, and then continue the titration. Okay, so this is the second trial. Our initial reading was 16.7. Our final reading is 33.1, and this is the final one. So that's all for the experiment, experiment 23. So with all the values given onto you, you can solve for those required in your data sheets, fill it up, and submit it online. Thank you. Bye.